Daybreak here on the Rise News, and it's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Let's take a look at our sister publication this day. Leading with this story, PDP governors, others hail as Atiku names Okowa running mate. Let's take some of the riders. Ex-VP says he's not afraid of taking difficult decisions, donates 10 million naira to our victims. Also, party plans to offer Wike campaign DG and prominent role in government if they win. That photo there, caption, Okowa is Atiku's co-pilot, showing Okowa, the PDP presidential candidate Atiku, and the national chairman Iyocha Ayu. Just below that, all set for a Ekiti election as INEC chairman appeals to staff to maintain neutrality. More on that on page 35. One more headline here, Buhari, we must develop cyber warfare to protect critical national assets, says his administration has degraded Boko Haram, IPOB, and banditry across the country. More on that on page 5.
The Punch newspaper is leading with Wike's camp fumes, warns PDP as Atiku picks Okowa as running mate. Nigerians spent 3.25 trillion naira on airtime, data and others in 2021, and that's according to the Communications Commission. You can read about that report on page 21. Federal government plans 17 airports as concession to unbundle aviation regulations, and the police have failed Nigerians, and that's according to Governor Rotimi Akeredolu.
Tribune, Nigerian Tribune. 12 reasons Atiku picked Okowa as running mate. That'll be an interesting read. 12 reasons. Some of them have been pointed. The party presented 3 names for consideration. That's from the party chairman, Ayu. Obaseki Bala Udom witness presentation. Wike won't be disappointed. Okowa was speaking earlier. I was watching him this morning. You can find this story on page 2. And then on that picture, you see his hand being lifted up with the presidential candidate over the PDP, Iyocha Ayu in the center, the chairman. All right, 37, the topmast. 37 survived overland aircraft fire incident or war massacre. Reps to revisit state's police. And then just like I was saying earlier, below that picture, FAN suspends issuance of licenses on free trade zones and Ekiti poll. Police withdraw orderlies or VIPs, warn thugs, deploy 17,000 personnel for the Ekiti election coming up tomorrow.
Similar headlines here on the Nation's newspaper. VP slot, how PDP elders dropped Wike for Okowa, why Delta governor was picked. More headlines here. CBN makes new plans to fix forex crisis. Apex Bank looks beyond monetary policy. Let's take one more headline here. Ekiti governorship poll. INEC distributes sensitive materials. Police deploy 17,000 personnel. That's for Ekiti governorship election tomorrow.
The international papers now. Financial Times is leading with Ukraine's drive to join the EU gains impetus from European leaders. That's a picture of those leaders from France, Italy, Germany and Romania. They were in Kiev to meet with President Zelensky.
Let's look at Daily Express. Shock as food prices to soar 15%.
And the UK, Guardian UK, Johnson may scrap role of ethics advisor after Geddett's resignation. Another headline here with that leading photo. That's Dom Phillips, the journalist who died trying to warn the world about the war on nature.
And this is the I paper. No tax cuts for 2 years as inflation heads for 11% in the UK.
Let's look at the Times. Pain ahead as Britain's braced for 11% inflation. Looks like it's occurring decimal all across the entire globe, the question of inflation. Emmanuel Bello, good morning to you and welcome to the press preview segment of the Daybreak. Yeah, glad to have you join us. We start with Emmanuel. You know why I'm laughing? By the way, well, PDP governors others hail as Atiku names Okowa as his running mate. What's your sense?
Indeed, good morning. Kenneth, good morning.
Morning.
Ngaji, good morning.
Good morning,
I
Emmanuel.
know why Indy is laughing and he's chuckling. He's won. If we were betting, and if it was sort of a betting game, he's won the bet. Wike wasn't picked. It was Okowa.
Yeah.
Well, but you know there were speculations here and there, and I'm so glad that we didn't fall for the bait of reporting that. But it became clearer yesterday. Okowa was the man that was picked, and now some of the reports saying that the Wike camp not happy about that altogether, because I think a lot of people, or himself, Wike, thought that having come second in the contest, probably should be able to make it to the second place position too for Atiku. But you had the reasons of the man yesterday, Atiku himself, and we've argued this in the past with you. We say Atiku might be actually looking for someone that is level-headed, someone when you're making your pick for the VP, you want someone that can interpret better your plans and programs, someone that will agree with you, will be on the same page with you. You probably won't be able to deal with someone that is cantankerous or loud-mouthed or very tough and very vocal in some of the ways Wike has presented himself. Okowa cuts the image of someone that you can go to war with, someone that will listen to you, and someone that you can actually make some good planning with. That's what a vice president is. That's why people need vice president. And you heard what Atiku said. You need a vice president that can actually easily become president, because the vice president is actually just a heartbeat away from becoming president, should anything happen to the president. So, and the kind of serious problems that we have, the kind of serious challenges that we have, you need serious-minded people. Okowa comes across as that kind of, silent but very powerful person who's been taking decision. His spokesperson was on the network earlier talking about what he's done in Delta State. So maybe those are the things that, and then a paper is talking about 12 reasons why he was picked. So maybe that's why Wike was bypassed and Okowa was chosen. Some people might think that, well, what what does this represent for Atiku? It represents a lot. Remember that the APC is struggling with the Muslim ticket. This finally is a Muslim-Christian ticket. So the PDP might be trying to appeal to that segment, to that vote, targeting those voters that will not are already angry that the APC is considering a Muslim thing. Maybe that is the strategy here. Whatever it is, it's also the story of a personality. Okowa is his moment in the sun, and he's already also brimming with a lot of confidence in saying that he's going to do right thing. Even had a word for Wike, saying that Wike might not be angry with his choice after all. So he's brimming with a lot of confidence in saying that, look, he's done some things. He's also running on his record. He's done well in Delta State, and that he's going to be such a very, an important asset to Atiku. How that plays out is what we're going to sit and watch in the coming months.
Definitely, Manuel. We know in the past, Governor Wike has always said he doesn't even want a VP slot. But on one of the riders here on the This Day newspaper, it says the party plans to offer Wike a campaign DG and a prominent role in the government if they win. Do you think this is something he will accept? And I quite think we were talking about this before we came on, that Wike will be good as a campaign DG because he's quite strong, very outspoken. What do you think?
The party has to maximize on everybody's potential. If you are picking Okowa because he's level-headed, he's the kind of man, that will play the second place and he will not overshadow his master and all that, because those go into consideration when picking the VP. You don't want somebody that would take the reign of government completely from you. Yes, you might also want to maximize on what Wike seems to do very well, which is to be, very, very, he knows how to take on, opponents head on. And he's been very vocal and very, very harsh on the APC. So making him the campaign manager, putting him on those, those campaigns stages to talk about that, to regale the nation again, once again, with some of the things he likes to say about the president being a failure, that the APC has, that has turned this country into the poverty headquarters of the world and all of that. Wike says it more than any other person better in the way he puts it. So maybe that would be a consideration. But engaging, like you say, if he was not considering or he never wanted the second place position, I wonder what he would want to make of the DG. But I think the party will want to also, because he's you don't want to isolate such a person, considering Rivers State already. A local government chairman saying that the peak of Okowa is not a rejection of Wike, it's actually the rejection of the Rivers people. That's a very terrible thing to say. So I think the PDP will have to find ways around the Wike situation to see how maybe they appease him or put him to a greater use. So the party will have to maximize the potentials of all that it has in its arsenal so that they can actually confront the behemoth called APC.
Speaking of the party, Emmanuel, on Saturday, the APC will be going head-to-head with other parties in the southwestern Ekiti state. The police has deployed 17,000 personnel to that election. What are your expectations?
Well, I want to believe Professor Mahmoud, who said yesterday that it's going to be, he's believing that his staff will be neutral, because that's very important. The neutrality of the INEC staff is very important. But of course, the security of the election itself is also paramount. 17,000 boots on ground deployed there to ensure. I mean, the police commissioner saying that they will do everything in their power. The soldiers will be involved in the election. And the INEC boss said that Ekiti is for him a very important test, because it's going to also test the strength of the new Electoral Act, law. It's going to test it. And so all the other parties, beside, for most of the presidential candidates, this is their first taste of, this is their first outing to also test. So it's going to be an interesting case. It's a state election, but I think all of us will be watching to see how it pans out, because in it you have all sorts of things. You have the testing ground of those electoral laws. You have the testing ground of some of the technologies used for election. Now, of course, the strength of the parties and their presidential candidate is going to be a test of wills there in Ekiti.
All right, still, not on the Ekiti any longer, but let's look at what we have on Tribune. It says, Owo massacre, reps to revisit state police, ask FG to declare state of emergency in Ondo Forest Reserve. Atiku donates 10 million to the victims. What do you make about this talk at this time concerning what happened in Owo? That's Badebia picture on states, on reps revisiting the issue of state police. Will that solve such challenges or problems, if you like?
Well, Indy, it's been a ranging debate about whether states should have their own police, and those who have argued against it say that, well, sadly it will become a tool in the hands of the government or the governors to use such, especially because governors keep saying that they are not in charge of securities in their states. Forget that the fact that they collect very huge sums of money, they call it security votes. So at the end of the day, it's not just about the issue of state police. Maybe that will help, but what we further expand, or what we really help in curtailing or dealing with crisis, is actually the political will to be shown by these governors. They cannot consistently claim that they don't have powers over the police, but they can, call on the commissioner of police anytime to do their bidding. But when it comes to security, they cry out and say, "Look, we have no controls over this," and they collect a lot of money. When it's called security votes, and it's almost an unaccounted kind of amount of money that these governors collect. And if you need to see how they beef their own personal securities when they go on convoys and all of that. So if they can do that and they can do a lot of protection, it's not far from thinking to say, look, why not also put your foot down and ensure that you secure your people. So it's still on the local authorities, the governors, working in conjunction with all the other segments within the state to find ways to actually protect their state, instead of always throwing up their hands in the air and saying we have no control. You have the monies. I think you should be able to provide the security as well.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello. Well, that's the press preview.